Hey everybody, Jeff here, and in this video we're continuing on in our series on the Miami condo collapse there at Surfside of the Champlain Towers South. And so today we're going to be analyzing that pool deck. We're going to come up with some ideas of what could have possibly made that pool deck collapse. And we want to talk about those palm trees in more detail. Everybody's been asking about them and what role they may or may not have had in the pool deck collapse. And we're also going to examine the strengths of the concrete, and we're going to look at some photos that were taken in the past week or so now that the site has been cleared, and we're going to analyze that and come to some conclusions based on those photos. Okay, so I want to show you something that I read a few weeks ago that was actually pretty startling. So I was reading through one of our engineering periodicals here, ENR, Engineering News Record, and I will put a link to this article for you in the video description below. And this was on July 5th, so this was the day after Champlain Tower South building was imploded by the contractors, CDI, to remove that remaining part of the building because it was too risky. So you remember they did it on 4th of July. So they interviewed the president of that company, Marc Loiseau, and he gave some observations that were pretty shocking. So he said in one area of the building that was still standing, and let me just show you a little bit of what the article said. It mentioned here that in one area, for example, the columns measured 24 inches in diameter, while the plans showed them to be 16 inches in diameter. On the other hand, Loiseau reported columns in one section of the building should have been constructed with 6,000 psi concrete, according to the plans. Instead, he estimated, without verifying, of course, via testing and with the core samples, the concrete's actual strength was not even close and much softer than 6,000 psi. So remember, this was without core samples or real scientific data, but you know, these guys are PE engineers, and his guys that drill this stuff day in and day out, they know what they're drilling into. And if they say they're drilling into less than 6,000 psi, you know, you got to believe them. Now the question is was it like that in the part of the building that collapsed? See how I say each time you get more testimony, more pictures, more evidence, it just opens up more questions. Well, on all of our videos every day, hundreds of you, and I mean literally hundreds of you, are asking me, what about all of those security camera videos that there must be? And believe me, folks, I have tried putting in a request to the Miami-Dade Police Department for videos here, and we haven't heard back from them yet. And as you know, this is an active criminal investigation, and so we are not likely to get anything anytime soon. Now, if you want to help the families of the victims of the condo collapse, there's really only two vetted fundraising sites, and I'm going to give you the links to them down below in the video description, because there's a lot of fraud going on out there. And don't put any money into any GoFundMe page that is not on the GoFundMe official vetted Champlain Towers South list. So this is one of the sites here, supportsurfside.org. Okay, so likewise, if you wanted to help out on GoFundMe, the best way that I recommend that you do it is you look for this page here that I'll put a link to, because it's very hard to find. And here they've got vetted accounts. So I would not recommend that you give money to any of the GoFundMe pages other than these that are vetted. So if somebody calls you or solicits by email or sets up a Facebook ad or anything other than these two that I just showed you here, they're probably scams. Okay, now we've touched upon this with the palm trees in previous videos, but I want to show you some in-depth analysis here and imagery to give you an idea of another hypothesis we have on this pool deck with the palm trees and how they might be related to it. Okay, so now looking once again at Google Earth, I want to see when these palm trees were removed from the pool deck and why. And I think we have a pretty good clue here. So we're looking, and as you can see down here, it says the imagery date is May 7th, 2017 of this image, and you can see the palm trees are still here. Now, if I go up to December of 2017, a few months later, look what happens. Poof. They're gone. So what happened between May and December of 2017? Well, Hurricane Irma happened. Now, a couple of questions we have here. Did Hurricane Irma topple any of these palm trees, and were they then removed? In which case they may have or may not have caused damage to the deck when falling, because these trees can weigh anywhere from 100 to a couple of 100 pounds per foot of length. So this position right here, ironically, the one that I think started it all, this tree was the tallest one of the bunch, as you can see there in the photo, probably around 20 feet tall. Okay, so as we look here where all of these palm trees were removed, we have a couple of questions to ask ourselves. How did they come down? Were they toppled by Hurricane Irma? Or did somebody climb up to the top and just cut 2-foot sections off at a time like they normally do with palm trees when they cut them down. The only problem is if you cut off a 2-foot section, you're looking at 400 pounds of palm tree at a time dropping down to the deck. Otherwise, how else are they going to get it down? And that could be devastating to the deck too. Who knows? Or another scenario here is maybe they came in here with some kind of a forklift or one of those JLG lifts. So I used to rent one of these when I did my Christmas tree display. I used to do a big, huge Christmas light display at our house many years ago, and we always rented a cherry picker. But what if you drove one of these across the deck here and then lifted up these palm trees and then drove it back out again? What would happen there? Could that damage the deck? What if it was a scissor lift? Those could be heavy enough to damage already weakened concrete and cause a whole web of cracks and stuff that you might not even see underneath. Okay, so here's sort of a rudimentary idea. So let's say you come driving across the pool deck here with a cherry picker, and you're going to remove all of these palm trees. So not only do you have the weight of this heavy equipment on here, and by the time you add a palm tree that maybe it's carrying off and possibly laying it down over here, that's a lot of weight concentrated under one small area. And then we have to ask the question, is the pool deck designed to handle that sort of weight, or is it designed to only handle pedestrian weight? So you see, these are the kinds of things that I'm kind of wondering. I mean, those palm trees had to have been removed somehow. We just don't know how. Here, I'll show it to you from another angle here, looking down at the pool. This is about anatomically the correct size. So they would probably come right up here with the boom lift. This one's actually an articulating boom lift. And you'd see you would just come right up to the palm trees, and it could probably grasp them. Not sure if it has enough strength to hold the full weight of it. Just not sure. But you can see what you'd be doing. You'd be driving this thing all up and down the pool deck. And where you've already got potentially compromised concrete from a botched repairs from previous years, this could be creating a whole spider web of cracks and weakening that concrete even further. So I hope this illustration helps you understand what is likely the scenario that went on there. So this is one hypothesis that I came up with, is that, yeah, supposing this thing just created a whole bunch of spider web cracks along the pool deck that really weakened it. And then maybe that combined with other effects here. Remember, there's no one smoking gun. I think what we're going to find is smoking guns, not one thing in general. You have weakened concrete from previous repairs that was botched. You have this exploration site that was carved out in the summer of 2020 that appears to have never been repaired properly. And then you have potentially latent cracks that we can't see. So just like any engineer would have walked into that garage and said, there's no way this building's coming down anytime soon. Now, a lot of the damage and flooding we saw in there is alarming and should be repaired, but there's no one smoking gun, folks. I think we're going to see a combination of several different factors here. And remember, this is all just speculation. But let me show you something that is not speculation. Okay, so here's where we get our proof. So here we're looking at the Google Earth photo of the pool deck area. And we can see that this particular one here was shot in February, right here, February 1st of 2020. And you can see they have not dug in that little 3-foot by 3-foot area yet. You see that? Let's go look at some other dates. March, for some reason they're not giving us a clear photo. But now you can see we've skipped ahead to January 4th, 2021. See right down here, there's the date. But look right there. There's the area, and it still looks like it's uncovered. It doesn't look like it's been patched. Yeah, because there you can see there on January 4th as we zoom in closer and closer, trying different angles here, but you can definitely see that the contractor did not patch that spot up. It looks to me like we're seeing straight through to the bottom of the area where they dug in. And remember, this is that planter, folks, where that column M10 is located here, right underneath it. This is the one we're talking about. And remember, it's the first one south of the building. The building ends right here, and this is where we think all of the collapse initially started, in the pool deck, as we saw in that now famous tourist video where we were looking down the ramp and we could see that giant pile of rubble right here. Now, let me answer another question that we get quite a few of. We've pointed out to you before that a lot of the columns in the garage are different size. Some are 16 by 16 and some are 12 by 16. And people are asking me, why would it be that small if it's supposed to support a building? Well, you're sort of incorrect there in making a statement like that. All of the columns that we pointed in here that are directly underneath and supporting the building itself are typically 16 by 16. It's all of these other ones that once you get out from underneath the building, see, a lot of people forget this pool deck goes over the entire parking garage here, see? And then the rest of it is underneath the building. But once you clear the border of the building, shown here with this gold square, and all of these can be 12 by 16 because they're not holding up any load. They're just basically holding up the pool deck. Now, they all did that punching shear in this yellow area, and that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. Okay, so let's get an update now on what they've been doing here on the property. So they've pretty much got everything cleared by now. All of this stuff, all of this rubble over here from when they imploded the standing part of the building to get it out of the way, everything's been cleared now, and the entire garage deck now looks like a hockey rink with walls around it. Okay, and so most of this stuff is gone. Even these longer columns are now just short stubs. They've all been cut like just above the floor. So what we're left with is here's our ramp coming down right here. And as we zoom into it a little bit more, let me just show you something here. When you come down to the bottom of the ramp and turn around, you're in space number 14 right here. So here's the column for 14. Let's go see what that is on the... See, here's what I was talking about. Coming down the ramp, you turn the corner, and you're space 14. So the one opposite 14 should be column number 27 for space 27 there. And then the one beyond it is the one that we think one of these two caused the failure. And remember, these two are outside the border of the building. So here's number 14. The next one right here would be number 27 right there. And then this is the one for between space 27 and 28, which is M10. This is the one that we think might have failed. The other one, I don't even see it over here at this point. So we think that the border of the building is, let me zoom out a bit and adjust this, okay. Yeah. So we think the border of the building is probably right along this route here. See? And here's the shear wall, and the elevators and the stairs are in this area, but this is the shear wall. Remember, we always count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. Now, we don't really know what this is. I suspect this might be the columns with the beam and it toppled over. That is my guess right here. Because this is not like a room or a wall inside the garage. There's nothing in there. If you go look at the basic plans, and we've showed you this many times, see, there's nothing, because this is supposed to be the main drag where you drive through in the garage right in here. And that little thing is sitting right here. So this is what I think we're looking at right here. The columns on the other side of 27. So I'm thinking that this is 15 and maybe 29. Let's go see. Yeah, 15 here. Oh, I'm sorry, 26. So it's 15 and 26. I believe it is these two that toppled over somewhere right around here. Okay, so here's another good shot here. And what we're doing now is we're on the east side from the ocean right here, facing east. So Collins Ave is over here. This is the back side of in the garage, the vestibule. And right here, we're looking at the ramp, the remnants of the ramp coming down. This is the post for space number 14. Here's our other friend over here, the space for space number 27. So you can see everything in this area. It didn't look like there was any sinkholes or anything. We've already ruled sinkholes out the minute we saw the first images of them showing the live bottom of the garage like about 2 weeks ago. So I'll show you which direction we were looking from. We were looking towards this way, see? And we were pointing out the vestibule and the elevators and everything and the ramp. And we were pointing out 14 and 27 again, like that's where we always try to orient ourselves. All right, so now here you can see I've demarked where we think the building was, right there. And then here's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns that initially fell. This parking space 27 is one of them. And remember, this is directly below Sarah Nair's condo, the one where the family escaped and they notified the security guard to call 911. So they were right directly above this. That's how they heard the noise. This piece of equipment right here is sitting directly where the debris field was that we saw in the tourist video. And then this is our column that we think may have been the first one to go. that column M10. And then I don't see the one across from it, so it might still be underwater. This is a lot of milky water that had not yet been vacuumed out. We're still trying to get a better overhead picture like this one, where everything is out and it's all nice and white and you can see clearly where most of the columns are. Okay, now we're looking at a side view of the pool from a great vantage point here, so you can see how rock solid this pool was. The pool had nothing to do with any of the problems, even though a lot of people keep coming and leaving comments, trolls, saying that I claimed it was the pool. I've never once claimed it was the pool. It had nothing to do with the pool, even though the pool had all of this spalling going on the Corbel, and some of it was revealed by the contractor anyway that came in to do exploratory work last year. This thing held up very nicely. The pool didn't even get any debris in it if you saw the early photos from the early morning right after. And then here's column 37. It's still fully intact. So this thing was built Ford tough, people. This wall got blown over by Hurricane Wilma back in 2005, but they tilted it back up or rebuilt. I imagine they rebuilt it because I think it was broken. Here's another look at the west side of the pool. You can see how nice and thick the slab is there. You can see spaces 29, 30, 38. These columns here survived. This one's looking in pretty rough shape, but man, he held his ground. Now here's another nighttime shot that was taken last week, and this is facing west, so we're looking at it from the beach side right here. Again, here's the ramp coming down, would have been right here. This was all the support stuff under the ramp, and this was column 1, and you can see column 6 for parking space 6, and then parking space 7 was right here in the corner. This is where that second garage video that we showed you was filmed, where the lady filmed just the water dripping down off the ceiling and onto, there was an electrical outlet box right here on the wall, and it was all rusty and the water was running down, and her car was parked right here in space number 7. Let's show you where that is. See, remember we showed you column 1 is right here, and then we showed you column 6 right there, and space number 7. So the vantage point from that photo was right here, and the photographer was aimed this way, like this. And that was that space I told you about, where the second lady who shot that video 3 years ago of the water leaking down the wall right here on her car. And then these here are some pictures that Senator Pizzo tweeted out. Now here we're on the north side of the property, looking south. So you can see how things are much more further along here now, where it looks more like an ice skating rink. And even the vestibule appears to have been removed. It was right in this area here. And you can see what they've done with the columns, that they've pretty much ripped them out down to about the floor level. But look how all of the columns were left intact, which pretty much eliminates anybody's claims that it was a sinkhole. I saw so many people. That was probably the number one prediction from most people, was that the sinkhole would be the cause of it. So here's another viewpoint. This is looking down towards the pool. So we're on the east side on Collins Avenue, and we're looking here down towards the pool. And here's the vestibule. So there's still a little bit of it left right here. Here's a close-up shot of the vestibule and another shot looking towards the pool. So again, I still can't get quite a clear enough shot of, I think that's 14 right there. And I don't know if that's 27 or if it's M10, the one that we're looking to get more info on. So it's a little harder. I'd like to be standing right there right now, but you can see how most of the water had dried up. Well, as we collect more evidence and more intel, hey, we'll be sure to let you folks know. So thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you all on the next one.